Welcome to another episode. In this episode, I'm going to try to raise the shadows and protect the highlights of a severely underexposed image, which was sent in to us by Lawrence. Here's the image. As you can see, it is very underexposed. I know he's trying to protect the highlights, but in reality, the sun is blown out. So no matter how much you protect it, it will get blown out a lot of the time. Anyway, the first thing I like to do always is click on the auto button. In this case, it doesn't really do much. So what we need to do is revert to where we were. Control and Z takes off the last adjustment. Then I like to just adjust the exposure to get the sky as I want it. Now we can go quite high, but I'm going to just drop it so the clouds are not blown out. Adjust the contrast slightly. I'm going to bring the highlights down and the shadows up. The whites down a bit more. The blacks there. So it looks nice. We have the AGX tone mapping as well, which gives you a flatter look, but I like to use the basic. You can always change back to AGX at a later point. That's maybe a bit bright, but I think that's about right. I tend to bypass the curves and go straight to the color module, where I'll adjust the warmth of the image, and I obviously adjust the saturation to get a bit more pop. And I'll then skip down to the sharpening, make sure it's nice and sharp, make sure the clarity and there's a bit of structure. This setting here, the center or centre, as they say in French, if you look at the highlights, it adjusts those, so that's quite nice. I'm not going to touch the noise reduction, and I'm not going to touch any of the effects. We have quite a few effects here, including the vignette. So my first job obviously is to raise the shadows here, and then we can't raise the shadows anymore because it just doesn't look right. Okay, it just doesn't look nice. All right, so to keep those quite deep and go into the masking. We have plenty of masking options. I like to go into something. Sometimes I use the depth mask, but on this particular image, there are a lot of straight lines which can add differences of luminance. So I will actually choose the luminance picture, and then I will click on that, and I will take the tolerance right down so that the tolerance does nice smooth lines. I'll also remove the mask by choosing new, add new component, subtract from the mask. I'll then use a brush, and I will make this brush bigger, and I will remove the parts of the mask where I don't want it, there, and I will then change to my settings. So now you can raise your shadows a bit more. As you can see, there's a bit of life now in the trees, and I will just do a few other alterations. Exposure, I don't really want to choose exposure much because of what's there. There we go. The whites, drop the whites, the blacks. The idea is to keep it as natural as you can, obviously, and we know that this is more natural than it's actually been fully bright. So there's a start image. There's this image. I'm sure there's a lot more we can do with this, as it is full screen. The Ajax module is a bit more flatter, as I said, but that's fine. I still think it's a bit too bright there, because you obviously want that because it's getting the sunlight. You can go back into the masks, and you can just raise the exposure just a little. There we go. Obviously, we have a bit of noise on this section, so you can then use your luminance slider and get rid of any noise. That in itself, though, as you can see, makes it a bit, well, it gets rid of the detail. As you can see, the detail coming and going. So you just want to do a little bit so it doesn't affect too much. And if you needed to, you could create another mask over any noisy areas. This image in particular is very noisy. So you could just simply choose a brush, go on the areas which are quite noisy, and then just add more noise reduction as needed. And there we have it. We've still got a lot of detail on the bottom, and we still have the colors quite accurate. AGX, basic. As you can see in the trees, we've got the color back the trees. And there we have it. A really quick guide on how to just bring up the shadows. There's still a lot of noise here, but of course it's I've brought it up from total darkness, and that's more fault of the camera. You could actually just drop the shadows a bit, just make it a bit more realistic. And there we have it. I hope that's of help. Don't be afraid to try different techniques. There are plenty of options you can use, and I would go through them all and try them all. Thank you.